Come on, one more to go. Don't mess this up. Oh, that was really close to our PB there. Not bad for a race setup. For sure that the high downforce is going to do a lot more carrying in the time trial section. But here we are. Welcome back, humans, to Monza. And prepare yourself for a heartbreaking weekend of another weekend of Ferrari mishaps and whatnot. Well, if that's not enough, well, you can always go into Monza and get wrecked into turn 1. I'm here to save you or probably make it worse for you. So let's get into the setup right away before we go into the track guide here. So, two setups here that I would like to share. First of all, the world record is setup that I used and modified from the world record setup for time trial specifically, which is, there you go, 99 wings, which is similar to what's being used for the world record. It's pretty good in time trial, of course. In race, it's also good in heavy fuel. If you're having rain, not raining, session's a bit wet, a bit low on grip, there's always benefit of going higher on downforce, but you'll definitely lose out a lot on the straights here. This is the one track of all the tracks in the calendar, maybe Vegas as well, where you want to shed all the downforce and go for as much top speed as you can get without compromising your entire lap time. So 99 is around where you'd like to start. Transmission on 55, 50, the usual, no changes around here. Right, left geometry is again the most stable thing you want. A lot of rotation in this and a lot of stability from minimum camber here. And minimum toe gives you a lot more stability as well, except for rear toe. When you increase your rear toe, of course you get more stability, but it generates a lot more understeer as well. So you don't want to go too much on the rear toe. Keep it at minimum. Suspension, this is where the magic happens usually. So I've stuck with 41 on the front suspension. Before was 40, 41 is virtually undetectable changes. 21 on the rear suspension, which started off at about 15 or something, and then I just went up to 21 because why not, right? Plus 5, plus 6, it's about the same. And in tandem with that, I've increased the front anti-roll bar just a little bit so that the car doesn't feel too snappy on exits. It provides some stability on exits as well and into corner entries. And rear anti-roll bar on 1, that's just again to keep the car a bit stable in corner transition, especially here where you have a lot of high speed change of direction, and on low downforce where aero is not going to be helping you too much with change of direction. You definitely need some mechanical balance, so this is going to help you. Ride height, you want to keep it as low as possible here so that on low downforce you can also make use of the low ride height to gain stability, one, and then to also gain some more cornering performance. But you don't want it to be too low, otherwise if you take any of these curves around here, you'll definitely bottom out. So safely you can run 32 or 33 around here, and on the rear you can run 37 or 38. That's just fine. Brakes, 100% brake pressure as always. Brake bias, you want to use heavier brake bias in the first two braking zones, turn 1 and turn 4. So something like 57, 56, and then the rest of the lap you can go down 2 or 3%. You have seen me going down to 54 and even 53 for the last corner. So generally the faster the corner and the lesser braking that you do, you want to go lower on the brake bias. There you go. And tire pressures, this worked just well as well when I tried it out in Grand Prix mode, at least in the practice mode in Grand Prix. Haven't tried it out in GP's what they call it, a qualifying mode and race mode, but definitely test out the setup first with these pressures, whether your tires are within the operating range. If you don't know, you can always find something online, or if you're confused, you can always join my Discord server where we have all this information ready for you, and you can always just input a bot command and there you go, voila, all the tire information you need is all there. That aside, that's the first setup, and then second setup is the one that I've created. Well, it's more for a race with a bit lower wings. When I say a bit lower, it's not too much lower, it's only 2 clicks lower. but it generates a lot more top speed here. 2 clicks is going to give you probably about 2 clicks front and rear, roughly about 2 extra kph, which can translate into half a tenth to 1/10 on each of the straights. So that's a lot of time, especially here if you're going to be following someone in DRS, or if you're just looking to be, keeping your safety in a DRS straight. This is definitely going to help you, and it's going to regenerate a lot more battery, so you can be spamming that effectively a bit more. You can go lower, you can experiment with that, but I'd say 5.5 is the limit here. You don't want to go to 0.0, that no longer works like last year, but you'll still need some amount of downforce here so that you can be somewhat competitive under the brakes, acceleration, and through the corners in sector 2 and 3, the high speed ones especially. 7.7 is what I'm going for. And in the race, of course, in the pit lane, once you are boxing and taking the softer tires, you can always reduce the front wing by 1 click or 2 click so that the car balance feels a lot more stable, and you don't overstay on all the important corners. So that's another tip that you can use. Transmission on 55 on throttle. This is for qualifying, like in turn 1 and turn 4. I'm using 55 so that the rear doesn't over rotate on acceleration, because it's a slow speed corner, relatively slow speed. And then the rest of the track I'm using 50 because it allows the rear to rotate a lot more on power, and that gives me a bit more precision that I need. You can always use that as well. Lap to lap, corner to corner, you can change this. For qualifying, definitely do that to gain that final maybe 10th or half a tenth that you need. Off throttle, I've upped it to 54. Now this is because in the race practice at least, you kind of feel that once the tires start to lose grip and the aero, despite how high you run, 9 or 10 or 8 or 7, whatever you run, the tires are going to start to feel a little bit slidey, and this helps just a little bit, maybe massively as well, to keep the rears a lot more in check when they are into the braking zone, so you do not lock up the rears. And also while going through the high speed corners, you do not over rotate or under rotate in some sense, if you are trying to be cautious there. And moving on to suspension geometry, no real changes here. Oh, let me just go back to transmission. I forgot to say, for the race conditions, qualifying, you can leave it like this. You can always go down to 50 in the rest of the sector 2 and 3 corners, 55 for turn 1 and turn 3. And in the race, you can always go with 60, and that should be fine. You can even increase your off throttle for the race to 55 if you want a bit more confidence, so that the rear doesn't lock up, and that will be good for you. Suspension geometry the same, no changes here, no need to talk about this anymore. For the rest of the, all the setups, it's going to be about the same. Suspension, again, it's somewhat the same. Maximum front suspension to give you a lot more stability on the front, because we are running a lot of low downforce here, and you need that stability going into the high speed corners. Rear suspension 16 to 21, even 11 just works nicely. But if you go down on the suspension, remember you may need to increase your rear ride height to compensate for the probably the bottoming out that you might be having. So if you go low on suspension, you have to increase your ride height. That's the golden rule around here, in any track pretty much. So 21 and 37 just works as a good combination for me. Coming out of the last corner especially, you'll notice if your car is stepping out on power, you may have to go up on the ride height. If your car is fine, then happy days. Front heater roll bar, I've gone a click softer here, just to give the front a little bit more turn-in into the slow speed and medium speed corners, even the high speed corners, just so the car responds better with lower downforce here. And everything else is the same. Brakes are the same. Of course, you see here it's 53 because that's what I used in the last corner up to the line. 56 is what you want to be running, or 57 for heavy braking zone. In the race, 57 is definitely much nicer to use. And then 55, 54 for the higher speed corners as well. And tire pressures, they are about the same. 1 psi, that is 10 clicks on the front, and then half psi, 5 clicks on the rear. You have to again play around with this for your own qualifying and the race condition. There you go. Setup is done, and it will be posted in the description if you want to take a look once again. And if you're done till here, you may want to leave. Thank you so much for watching, and we will proceed with the the track guide around Monza, because there are a lot of little tidbits that you can use to gain that final 10th or 2 that you may need around here. So let's go for our fastest lap here and see what we have. First of all, as always, any track, you want to make sure that your exit is set up nicely so that you don't lose time down the pit straight here. And then run wide. Maybe you can even just let the car run wide to the left, it doesn't matter, or even stick to the middle of the track, doesn't matter, as long as you get a good exit, you don't slide out of the last corner. And then DRS activated after the start finish line, remember, and then remember to turn that on. And then you're gonna be chilling for about 10 seconds here before you arrive to the braking zone. Now for the first turn, the braking zone is somewhere between 150 and 100 meter board, and you can use the black boards as a reference here, or right after you pass this white line, that's where you start to think about braking. All right, so in qualifying, you can always push it as close as 100 meters as you can if you have a bit higher downforce, but if you have a bit lower downforce like 7766, you may want to brake somewhere around 120 to be a bit safer for turn 1 and 2. All right, so take it easy on your first 1-2 runs and then push it on the last 2 or 3 runs. And here 120 is where we are braking here, and then you want to go down the gears down to 3rd gear, and remember, be careful not to touch the grass here, but you can be precise enough to let the car run a little bit wide to open up the entry into the chicane. Use the AstroTurf just a little bit to make sure the car is as wide as possible. And then into turn 1, you can take the sausage curbs about this much, and there you go. And you want to avoid the inside sausage curb at turn 2, otherwise it's going to compromise your exit. So you can take the curb at turn 1, you can take even more if you have a high ride height here. To be fair, it's not really beneficial to take that much of a curb here, and it's kind of going to kick your car out, but keep it tight. And then steering input is going to be very important here, so you want to be as tight as you can, and then as soon as you can, just start applying a little bit of throttle here, like 20-30%, and keep applying the throttle and get the car rotated and turned out of the corner. Stay tight on the exit, but avoid the grass at the early phase here. When you're full throttle, if you touch the grass a little bit like this, it doesn't matter. Stay tight at Curva Grande around here, because that's going to gain you a few more thousands. If you let it run wide, you can even lose up to half a tenth around here. So that's massive if you're looking for some more lap time here. Stay tight. And then into turn 4, you want to be braking right after this orange barrier here. And there's an exit road as well here where the tire is, or the 100 meter board, depending on which line you want to take. Do you want to go early into the apex, or do you want to go late into the apex? You can always decide according to your liking. In the race, I usually brake after the orange board here. That's a bit easier to take the line that I want to in heavier fuel. In qualifying, you can push it to 100 meters here. So brake into 3rd gear or 4th gear, 4th gear or 5th gear here. All right, so you enter in 5th and then downshift to 4th very late so that you keep the car a lot more stable. There is a line where you can mount a lot more of the sausage curb around here, but well, I am not confident to take it, and it's kind of kicking the car into the air, and it's a bit RNG. Sometimes it doesn't kick the car, sometimes it kicks the car. Unless you have a higher ride height, it may be possible, but I don't feel it's worth running the higher ride height to lose that downforce everywhere else. So you can take half of it here. And on the exit, again, it's a very fast corner here, very fast transition, so you want the car to turn left and then immediately quick turn to the right, and keep applying throttle as soon as you are at the apex here. So just take a listen, just listen to the inputs here for a moment. So as soon as you are past the apex, start applying throttle and increase your throttle as you start opening up the steering. By the time you're on this exit curve here, well, this may look scary, but you want to be full throttle around here. And then now into the next corner here, the start, pretty much the important part of sector 2. So the first part, Lesmo 1, 50 meter board is where you want to be turning in. But God forbid if someone takes that board out, you'll need to find a secondary reference, and that is going to be the left exit mark on the left mark on the left here, the orange mark on the left, my bad, or the green exit post as well on the left, or there is a road as well. So right before you reach that, you want to be braking down to 5th gear, and you want to stay as tight as you can in Lesmo 1 here. It is cambered slightly on the inside here. You can see the car is, you know, nicely being dragged along by the camber here. It's cambered inwards to the road, so it's going to help you rotate the car. You want to throw your car into the corner here and then power out as soon as you can. Again, it's quite important to carry the speed and accelerate as early as possible. It's going to help you rotate the car and carry the momentum through. On the exit, keep applying your throttle more and more and keep opening up your steering so that you do not understeer into the corner here. This is a little bit safe. You can take a lot more of the curb here on the exit. So we're just barely half, but you don't want to go too high on it. Otherwise, you can notice the car will start to just scrape the bottom a bit and you may lose a few thousands there. And then next part, Lesmo 2, I'd say it's even more important than Lesmo 1 because it sets up the exit into the next DRS straight, which is a major overtaking zone in the race. So after you pass around 75 meters, just before 50 in the qualifying, in the race it's somewhere in between as well. In the race, in qualifying, you can hit at 50 and then brake and just a little bit of brake to tap the brake and then turn the car in, throw the car into the apex. You don't want to mount the curb, but you want to kiss it somewhat like this because again, it's cambered inwards. It's going to help the car to rotate, but the green part of the curb is slightly raised, so that's going to offset your car, compromise your exit. And on the exit, I was a bit safe, but you can always take a little bit more here of the exit curb and then straighten out the car, power as soon as you can, DRS wide open here, and then down into the next part here. And here we come to the Ascari chicane. You can make or break your lap around here as well. If you have done all these corners so far, you may lose all your lap time here if you invalidate it. So 100-meter board is where you're going to be braking, and luckily enough there is a 100-meter board on top of the track as well. So in case the ones on the bottom get destroyed, you can always refer to the ones on top. As you pass that, down to 5th gear, take a lot of the inside curb. You're probably even touching the sausage a little bit here, but you don't want to mount the sausage. Just a little bit is okay. And then as soon as you hit the apex, apply power once again, and that is going to carry all the speed that you have carried in here throughout the rest of the chicane. Let the car run wide. You want to take a lot of the curb here, but you don't want to be touching the sausages here. So this is as tight as you could get. You are just touching the sausage a little bit on the edge of tires, but you do not want to mount the sausage curbs, otherwise it's going to throw the car off balance. And ready to turn to left as soon as you are done. So this is again a sequence that you need to practice, otherwise you're not going to get a hang of this left right left chicane. And then on the exit, let the car run wide again, trust the downforce in the car and let the car run wide, stay within track limits of course, and then straighten out the car and slowly bring over the car all the way to the left and prepare for parabolica, or well, curva alboreto or whatever it's known as now. I still like to call it parabolica. And you want to be braking and turning it at the 50-meter mark or before this white line here, or at the white line probably in qualifying. You don't want to be too late either, otherwise you'll miss the apex and you'll miss the exit. So you can, this is one corner where you can ignore the slow in fast out rule because it's opening up on the exit. So you need to go in fast and exit fast. So tip the car into the apex. We miss it just a little bit here, just a little bit, but that's as close as I could get in this run. And let the car run wide on the exit. Again, for qualifying, you want to bring the car right back to the right side to get the shortest run to the finish line. In the race, you can stay somewhere in the middle or just let the car drag out to the left side. And be careful not to cross this white line more than you should do. You can still cross it. I'm touching it. You can use your left tires and be as close as you want to it. Maybe it'll gain you a few thousands, but maybe not. As long as you keep a car straight, shortest line to the finish line, you should gain some time. There you go. That is a lap of Monza, and two setups are there for you to, well, enjoy if you need to. And I'll see you in the next one, which is going to be French GP because I've prepared the hot lap and I haven't uploaded it yet. Hopefully this one doesn't go corrupt once again, because it happened just a day ago, and re-recording this has been a little bit of pain. But either way, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope this serves you well, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Take care, everyone, stay safe, and bye bye.